Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I hope that you all are finding this time in your life with ease. Myself, this last week has been pretty intense with energy, and not so much necessarily with what's happened in our lives, but with friends around us and people that we know. A lot of, again, dense energy is circling through, and I'm just trying to hold the space for what is, and trying to help each of these people moving through it with as much grace and ease as possible. And I think the message that comes up the most is that how in this world of polarities, we cannot put ourselves on pedestals and look at other people that are going through harder processes as a lower vibration or as something that is less than where you are currently living. And I gave this analogy to my cousin yesterday was, would you look down on someone that is starting college as a freshman versus if you're a senior? No, everybody's at the level that they're at, and it's perfect. And when we use that analogy for the soul experience here on earth, it's just that we have different ages of souls here, and everyone is at a different level of learning and can process things at a different place. But it doesn't make the older souls any better because you've been there, you've gone through it, but it doesn't make you better. It may make you wiser to them, but also it makes you remember and have compassion and understanding for when you were also there. So in saying that, I want you guys to understand that it's going to get more intense. It's this divide and this change is happening at a much more rapid pace, and it's becoming very blatant. And I know, because everything that is meant to be, right? So I know it's supposed to be this way. And it's not like I get insights into what's coming, but it feels like a buildup of energy, and those energies are intensifying. So as you go through the processes, as you deal with family members or friends that are in a much deeper, harder process than you, I think that the light is here to just hold the space for what is with them, and not to make it anything other than what it is. Richard's best friend is going through a very difficult time. He fell and tore both of his quadriceps, and this was on vacation in Europe. And now he's stuck in Europe for the next 3 to 4 months healing from this. He had surgery and now he can't travel. And then on top of that, one of their friends and one of his best friends there committed suicide this week. And man, it's hard not to feel it. It's hard not to feel and be empathic with the people that you care about, because you care about them. And what comes up for me is Andre is Richard's best friend's name. He's a very sensitive soul, and I worry for him. I worry for him. He can't walk, and yet he's in this really crashing moment in his life. And I try to encourage and say, obviously patterns were meant to be broken here. There's a lot of things that are changing for you for a reason, and it's just trying to hold this space for letting those things reveal them as they are meant to be understood, right? Like when something like that happens, it's not like you automatically know, oh, this is why it's happening. But holding the space open to be in the receptive of I'm willing to learn from whatever this is happening for a reason. Why? What is the reason? What am I here to learn from it? And the thing is there just are no words. I think that's what it boils down to is we're all going into a place of the unknown, and these changes are happening for a reason. The souls that are leaving this planet at this time are meant to. And in a way, I look at it as light, because their ego is letting go of this life so that they can transcend into another incarnation to do maybe things a different way, or they've taken what they needed to learn in this life and they're going to apply it into the next life. And that to me feels hopeful versus being dark and sad about how someone chooses to leave this life. And I'm just trying to hold that space open for the things that are to come. And in saying that, I don't want to come across like it's all doom and gloom coming, but it's change, and change can be scary for sure. So, I think our job is to just hold it in the highest reverence that we can, no matter if it looks light or dense, because it all is exactly how it is supposed to be. So also this week, one of the things that it's been something that I've been working on for months and months. And, I get downloads of ideas and concepts that to my mind, sometimes they don't feel full. Like I share them and I practice them, but sometimes I don't understand why, like I don't get the history behind it. And, this week we're going to talk about something that kind of came a little full circle, which I've done off the top of my head 3 episodes kind of around this topic, but this week it kind of pulled together into one unified breath. And if you go back to the episodes that I did, one's called the Diamond Light Matrix, which is I got the download of we're supposed to be strengthening the matrix, or the new ley lines of this planet. And by doing that, we open ourselves to become the portals of the energy. And they showed burying a crystal and meditating on that crystal to amplify your portal to create these stronger ley lines. So that was a very clear download. And I was like, wow, that's amazing. And, obviously I shared it. And then, after that came an episode that I did called Reflections from an Earthseed, which was all about we're here to birth something. We are actually seeds of this planet, meaning in this incarnation. Again, in that episode, I believe I talked about none of us are from here, but we all are here and we chose to be here, which makes us a seed of Mother Earth. And that is our mother. And we are here to bloom in this life and this time. And it's like cultivating that richness and fertilizing those roots and pulling from the past lives that you've had in this planet to nurture through you and be birthed again in this life. And then I also did an episode called Return to the Heart, which is all about giving from this space and understanding that everything comes from this space. I'm not actually sure if I talked about, I think I did in my last, in my last ceremony with ayahuasca. I was shown that my heart now had an upgrade or an activation, and it felt like that sonic slider vibration in my heart space. And I woke up in the middle of the night feeling that, and it was that we are actually portals to the sun energy, and that's living in the heart chakra, in the heart space. And that it goes much deeper than that, but essentially we are here to be the light of the sun. And so all of these things are very clear to me, right? But then the issue is that I don't always understand the backstory, and I share what I know, but it's not like Spirit gives me like the full rundown from beginning to end. And sometimes I think that there must be a reason for that. Maybe the details aren't necessary. And I try to, I guess, be accepting of exactly what is, right? But also I know for me, kind of my job, especially when you guys know I'm into human design, and my incarnation cross is the right angle cross of consciousness, which is you are here to be in flow of life. All of life is made up of patterns, and the dance in the river of time, and your energy is the basis of these patterns. You have an inherent gift to understand that it is all about patterns in life, in nature, and in the universe. And if we go with the flow, then our energy is reserved for experiencing the things that move in and out of our lives and is not spent trying to fight the current. You are here to be wise about this and share your enlightenment with others. So clearly I think I'm living my incarnation cross, because I get these downloads and I share them. I gather the information and I share it. But like I'm saying, they don't speak to me in our logical terms. So I'm not getting the science behind what I learn, right? So I've been studying a few books from Drunvalo, Melchizedek. There are 2 called The Ancient Secrets of the Flower of Life, Volume 1 and 2. And also I have another one called Living in the Heart, which I believe I reference in Returning to the Heart episode. And this came up actually through the energy group. One of my sisters in the energy group, I think she was at a thrift store, and this book popped out to her and she shared it with the group. And it was right around the time we were talking about Merkabas and geometries and understanding how the universe works. I did a search on Gaia about the Merkaba, and Drunvalo's work came up, and they're kind of old lectures that he gave, I think back in the 90s. But essentially he goes through all of the support structures that make up where we are today in terms of geometry and understanding how cells divided. And it goes really, really deep into the history, it's the ancient secrets of the flower of life. So it's really taking it way back to understanding everything. And, it can be very overwhelming. And for me too, I have a mind that is like, I want to dig to the depths of everything, but sometimes it can feel like it's so abstract that it's hard to bring it into the reality of today. So I did watch all of these lectures, and I can comprehend a lot of it, but it's some of it, like I said, it's over my head, and that's okay. I mean, when we digest knowledge, it's like we are taking it into ourselves in a way that if it feels true, it's like osmosis, like you are just digesting it, and you don't need to be able to really understand and explain it to someone else. And that's how I am kind of with everything. I'm like a sponge with ideas and concepts that then boil down to one narrative that's what I share. So for me personally, yes, I definitely can get into all of this along with Matthias De Stefano's initiation program on Gaia. Same thing. He starts at the very beginning of the dimensions and how each one builds on the other one. So all of that is to say, like, I understand the structure, but the structures are here to support a system that holds our energy and matter together in this dimension. And once we understand that, it's easier to understand why we need the support and amplification from those sources to manifest in this reality. And then we can find ways to draw on those structures for support, as we're not brought to this planet to do it alone. And I think that's what my gist is of all of this research, is that when you understand that you literally are just a drop in the ocean of consciousness, you realize that rest of the ocean is here to amplify and support what your purpose here is. So there's so many structures, right? Like I'm just going to give you a few to give you an idea of what I mean by structures. So there's astrology, there's human design, there's the chakras, there's the geometries and the fractals, and there's the waves of the ocean, and there's the webs of the fungi, and there's the plant teachers. And all of these are just allies that are here to support us in this incarnation to birth through or break through the soil of your life to become and blossom as the thing that you are here to bring forward and what your contract is here to bring forward, right? So I've talked in the past, in the last few weeks, about how when we create an energy protection, you don't want to solely rely on your energy, because that is so taxing to your system and it will exhaust you, especially when you are working with others and supporting their energy as well. So when I talked about creating that sacred opening prayer, the reason behind it is that you're pulling in your allies to protect the medicine space with you. And then what happens is it amplifies, and you're not expected to do it all yourself. That's essentially what was coming through for that. And I believe that 100%. And for me, I know I'm not strong enough to hold everything, right? But I'm not meant to. And I think when I go through and look at the things that I'm curious about and studying, it is the structures of the universe. I mean, even the matrix that I see is the structure that's holding us to this dimension. But it's a support system. So what this boils down for me is, how do we use those structures to confirm that we're connected, and how do you amplify that energy, right? Like, I've talked about meditation in the past as well, about the point of meditation is to quiet the mind so that you can go deeper. But what happens after you learn to quiet the mind? How do you know you're going deeper? And that is where I have come to find the next step of the puzzle. So in the book Living in the Heart, Drunvalo explains how through his many years of meditation and working with indigenous peoples and teachers, that he was eventually taught a way to, how do I say it? To know what you're doing in meditation. And by that I mean kind of like how I described how when you open up sacred space, when you call on each of your sacred sites, I told you that I personally feel them come up the back of my spine. And then for me, I say aho, because I know it's there. Well, in this book, Living in the Heart, it talks about how in order to get fully in that heart space, we need to first connect with Gaia, with Mother Earth. And the way he describes it as, you go into your normal meditation and you envision yourself in nature and you pull into your heart space the things that make you feel alive in whatever space that you're envisioning. So for me, it was the cliffs and the water, and mainly the ocean, and pulling that energy from that memory, right, into your heart space and letting it build like for me, it feels like it gets overwhelming to the point where I ended up doing like energetic yawns, and like it's so intense feeling, because I'm calling in not only the thought of the space, but the space, like the energy of the space. So let's say if you were imagining being in a mountain, it's like really connecting with that mountain, and if it's snowing right at that point, or if there's a stream nearby, or the rocks, or the trees, and it's really pulling all of that energy from each one of those things in this natural moment into your heart space. And then he says you can put that energy into a sphere in your imagination. You can put it into a sphere. It doesn't have to be into a sphere, but then bringing it down to Mother Earth. And it's an energetic exchange or a gift of energy that you're acknowledging Mother Gaia as source, right? And you're not just, it's not a fleeting thought. I'm giving all of this built up steam to Mother Gaia to say thank you. And then he talks about waiting. And this is where I was like, yes, Because even when we create sacred space or when we go into meditation, it's hard to know that you really are connected because you just kind of move through the motions. But what he brings up, and which I feel is such truth, is that once you send that energy down to the core of Mother Earth, you're waiting. At that point, you're waiting for her to come back into your body. So for me, it's sending it down my spine through my roots to the center core of Mother Earth. And then what happens for me is that it comes back through my spine and it feels different. It's not the same energy that I gave her. For me, it felt like a more electric feeling. And then just breathing it in and allowing that vibration to disintegrate or move around the rest of your body so that your whole body can become acclimated to that vibration, right? So you started the conversation with Mother Earth, but she's continuing the conversation with a higher vibration than what you started the meditation as. So then once you've let her move through your body, then you pull in the energy again into your heart space. But this time you're looking up to source, to the sky. You can imagine the moon or the sun, the star nations, the unnameable one, everything that you feel for the cosmos and for the unknown. And you breathe that in and you hold that in your heart space, right? And let it build as much as it can. It can take minutes or it can take longer. It doesn't matter. Just let that emotion build. And then you can send that energy in a sphere, if you like the visualization of a sphere, to source. And then you wait for that to come in back to acknowledge you. And for me, it came in through my third eye, and that energy felt more like mist, like a very, I don't know, it wasn't as electric as the earth. It felt very much more misty and mysterious, like softer. But I let it come through my third eye and down into my body, okay? So then now you have both the earth and the sky meeting in your body, throughout your whole body, as one in the heart space. And then from there, this is where the real meditation begins, because when you have the combination of below, above, and here, it's the unity breath. Now you have everything inside of your body and the energies from both the grounding earth and our source energy in one space that opens up that portal that helps you to really go deeper inside you. So you can use your meditation. In the case of when I talked about the Diamond Light Matrix activation, I was saying send that energy out, right? Like open up your portal and let that energy out of your heart. But Drunvalo talks about using that power to go in. And for him, he talks about the heart space actually being a cave, and that in that cave, he spent many years meditating in that cave. And for him, it was a visual, right? And it's funny because he gets into the details of the cave was decorated with photographs of people on the walls, and he didn't know any of the people. But as he went through his life, each one of those people on the wall would show up in his physical life. So when you go into that heart space where time and space don't exist, you're shown a much deeper version of you. You're connecting to your higher source and what you planned out for yourself in this life. And I don't think that it's only about giving the energy out. It's also the moments that you need to rejuvenate is sitting in that space, being in that space, and breathing in that space is what meditation and the unity breath is. So for me, when I discovered this, I was like, it makes sense now. Like, yeah, I got the information of, yes, pulling from the heavens, pulling from the earth, and letting it go through your heart. But also, I didn't realize, how do you connect it back? How do you hold it in? How do you know that these sources are with you? Even though, like when I talked about the opening prayer, and that I do feel when I call on the sacred sites or the apus, yes, I feel their energy come back. This is his point, is that when you have the intention and you're building up that emotion and giving it from pure love space, of course it's going to come back, because it's like energy pulls like energy. And what we have to realize is that we have to wait for that, wait for it to come back, because then you know you're connected. There is no doubt, and I feel like it alleviates that space of, why am I meditating? What is the purpose of this? Because for me, a lot of the times my meditation practice is leaving my body, but for what? Like, I don't know what I'm doing out there. So yeah, I feel like this was a really big moment for me, and also is deepening my practice into meditation and to understanding how do you go deeper. Because like I said, the first step of meditation is just to quiet the thoughts. But then what, right? So this is where you can actively get into your heart chamber, your heart space, which is literally the portal of you in this incarnation, and understand you and rejuvenate your soul there. And why do I feel like this is coming up now is I feel like there's a lot of stuff going on, as I said in the beginning of this episode, and I feel like there is distracting guidance happening. There's intense emotional waves coming through. And I believe that this lesson came through this week because we have to go in. We have to start only listening to our heart centers and what feels right in that space. And I know that when these lessons come up, it's always timely, right? It's always timely for me, and I believe timely for you, because I hear back from you guys saying that, oh, this came at exactly the right moment. But the thing here is that we've been conditioned to watch scary movies, to love like roller coasters and true crime and all of these mysteries. And I'm starting to feel like that wasn't by coincidence. I feel like if the collective or society conditions people from a young age to survive and be okay with that kind of energy constantly around them, meaning like, you can turn on Netflix and everything is true crime right now, everything. So if that is what is popular now, it's because our vessels have become used to digesting that type of content, right? And being at that vibration and being able to watch something that it could be gory, could be whatever, and not feeling it too deeply. Well, what does that do? That numbs out your actual emotion. It's disconnecting you from that space of love. And if we are always in this heightened, fear state, then when somebody starts on the news or someone in your life starts to make fear an everyday occurrence in your life, whether, again, if it's about the vaccine or COVID or whatever it is, you're used to that vibration, and therefore you don't realize, hold up, this is their fear and I'm not taking that fear into my body, right? You just think like, oh, this is normal, and I'm going to listen, and I'm going to be a part of it, and I'm going to get involved, and I'm going to, feed it and jump on that energy thread. And I think that this is the point, is that we're supposed to start pulling back and realizing what do you feel when you're in that fear state? Like, what does it actually feel in the body? It can't feel comfortable. I mean, I used to love true crime. Before my awakening, I was all about it. And I mean, all the podcasts, everything. And now I can't because I know it's not my vibration anymore. But how do I know that? Because I disconnected from all vibrations that were not me in order to find my center again and find what is me. And I think that the only way we can truly be a light in this incarnation and this time is to find that space of the heart and really radiating out what you actually are. Not a confused version of what you are, and not a version of all the different thoughts and all the threads of energy that are constantly out there, and then you slip through maybe at 5%, right? Like, because how can you be 100% you when your mind is going crazy with all the things that are happening in the world? But again, we've been conditioned to function that way. So why would we think that anything else, that it's weird, right? Or why would we think that's not normal? And the message I get is that we have to change that perspective. We have to realize that it is only going to keep getting more intense. It's not going to go backwards to the way that it was, where everything was kind of status quo and we would have like news stories pop up every week that would be some trauma, some violence, but it was manageable. It's not going to be manageable anymore. And the only way that you can truly be what you came here to be is to find that center inside. And I do talk a lot about disconnecting from anything that doesn't feel right inside. And I mean, I had a conversation with someone yesterday of what do you feel? What do you actually feel? Is this your mind talking, or what does your body feel? And I will always put that back on you guys, because the mind is not you. The mind is you're regurgitating energy threads that are constantly bombarding you all the time. So take it into the body. I think this exercise of learning this unity breath is the first, really, for me, concrete way to understand what your breath is, what your light is. And you can go so much deeper with this as well. And I'm not going to get into that. If you're interested, I definitely recommend his book, which is Living in the Heart. I will link it below, along with that book actually came with a CD, which I don't have a CD player, but I found on Spotify and YouTube a recording of this meditation that he walks you through from the book. And it's very simple, but essentially it's just using these practices of really deeply connecting and sending that energy consciously to the earth, to the sky, and then through your heart space, and see what comes up, see what happens. And that's where you are. That's where you're hiding. That is you. That is your essence. And when you get there, it starts to break through this kind of surface of this facade of who you are walking through this current incarnation. Because the more light that you bring to your higher self, of course, it knows you're listening. It knows you want to connect. It's all part of that, the infinity loop. It's like what intention you put out there is what's going to come back to you. It's impossible for it not to. So I think I am just feeling myself so grateful for this lesson, and also knowing that it's exactly what we need right now. And, some of these teachings are older for sure, but it's funny that they don't go away. Like, even though through the downloads, I got these messages, and when it's confirmed through someone's teachings who I had never heard of, it brings it together in a full circle, and knowing that these teachings haven't evolved. They're always going to be the same, because it's the same simple practices. We have to evolve to understand them. So it's taking the language of someone else who, again, Drunvalo learned this through someone else as well, but evolving it to a time of language and understanding that we get it. We get it. It doesn't even have to be a long meditation. It can be 10 minutes. But really starting to feel what your vibration is what will be your North Star of understanding when you listen to a TV show or a news channel or a person. Is what they're saying of my vibration? And if it's bringing your vibration down, am I literally tuning in? Am I okay with that? Or do I need to remove myself from this? Do I need to change the channel? Even though I'm following this podcast and I really enjoy these people, are they bringing up fear in my body? And then do I need that? And that's the other thing, is each person is here on their own mission. And maybe yours is to tune into fear vibration. But what I believe is that, especially if you are listening to me, you're here for light. You are here to bring a higher vibration to help people and help people ease through these lower vibrations. And it's time that we start doing this consciously. We can't just lay back on, yes, we are light workers, we're bringing light wherever we go. You have to take it a step further and start listening and start really cultivating that knowing inside. And I know this is the one concrete way that you can start doing it now. So I hope this is helpful, and understand that it comes from my heart. And I also will be practicing this because like everyone, I am also on this journey, and these are all lessons, and I want you guys to know the only reason they come through is that I also need them. And as I said, I think last week or the week before, I try to be from this space of I know nothing, because it's in that empty vessel that my true self is being born. So I hope to find that birth in yourself as well. If you'd like to join us on the Energy Tribe chats, the next one is going to be October 25th at 4 p.m. Pacific Daylight Savings Time. And we do them every other week. It's just a great place to connect with each other, talk about ideas, whatever we're working through. And again, it's hard for me to put into words because every single chat is different. But I know that it's a safe space, and I know that it's with beautiful sisters that would love to have you. So I really hope to see you there.